Most people think money is just about earning more. But rich people know that money is about thinking differently. They don't just see money as paper or numbers in a bank account. They see it as a tool, a seed, a source of leverage that can multiply itself. While most people trade time for money, the rich trade ideas, systems, and ownership for money. That's the mindset shift that separates the wealthy from everyone else. Because the truth is, your bank balance is a reflection of your mindset, not your paycheck. Let's dive deep into how rich people think differently about money and how you can start thinking like them today. Most people are taught to earn money. Rich people are taught to make money work for them. The average person works for their salary. The rich make their money go out and bring back more money. They don't save money to feel safe. They invest money to build freedom. While many people fear losing money, rich people fear wasting time. They understand that time is the real currency, and money is simply the tool that buys more of it. When most people get paid, they think about spending. When the rich get paid, they think about multiplying. Here's a key difference. When average people get an extra $1,000, they see it as something to enjoy, maybe new clothes, a vacation, or gadgets. But a rich person looks at that same $1,000 and asks, how can this grow into $2,000 or $5,000? They see every dollar as a potential employee, one that should go out and work 24/7 to bring back more dollars. That's why they invest in stocks, real estate, or businesses instead of letting money sit idle. Money that doesn't grow is money that dies slowly, and the rich understand that better than anyone. Another big difference? Rich people love learning about money. They read about finance, study markets, talk to investors, and hire mentors. They don't see money as taboo, they see it as a skill. Most people avoid money conversations because they feel uncomfortable or uneducated. But the wealthy treat financial knowledge the way athletes treat training as essential practice. They know that the more they learn, the more control they have. And they never stop learning because the economy, technology, and markets keep changing. The poor and middle class are taught to play defense with money. Save it, protect it, avoid risks. But the rich play offense. They take calculated risks to create opportunities. They know that real safety doesn't come from hiding money in a bank. It comes from building skills, assets, and systems that can keep producing wealth even when they are not working. To them, risk isn't something to fear. It's something to understand and manage. They don't take blind risks. They take educated ones. They research, analyze, and then move fast when they see potential. That's why they grow faster than everyone else. Rich people also understand something most people ignore: the difference between assets and liabilities. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. It sounds simple, but it's the foundation of wealth. Most people buy liabilities and call them assets. They buy cars, gadgets, or even big houses thinking they are investing when in reality, they are spending. Rich people buy things that make them money: rental properties, stocks, businesses, intellectual property. They focus on cash flow, not appearance. That's why many millionaires drive modest cars and live below their means. Because wealth isn't about looking rich, it's about staying rich. Now, let's talk about how the rich handle income. When most people get paid, they spend first and save what is left. The rich do the opposite. They invest first and spend what is left. They treat investing like a bill that must be paid, no excuses. Even if it's just 10% or 20% of their income, they make sure their money is always working somewhere. That's why compound interest works so powerfully for them. They start early and stay consistent. It's not luck. It's discipline. The wealthy also think long-term. While most people think in weeks or months, the rich think in years or decades. They plant trees knowing they might not sit under the shade for a long time. That's why they buy assets and hold them. They understand patience is the ultimate wealth builder. They don't panic when the stock market drops or when real estate slows down. They see it as a chance to buy more because they trust the long-term trend of growth. Average investors sell in fear. Rich investors buy in fear. That's the difference between emotion and logic. Here's another key mindset shift. The rich separate emotion from money. They don't make decisions based on fear or impulse. They let data, logic, and trends guide them. They understand that markets are emotional, but successful investors can't be. When everyone else is panicking, they stay calm. When everyone else is chasing hype, they stay patient. That's why they often profit while others lose. because they know money rewards patience, not panic. Rich people also understand leverage. They know that wealth doesn't come from working harder. It comes from multiplying effort through systems, people, and technology. Leverage can mean using money, other people's time, or even AI tools to do more with less. For example, an average person works 8 hours a day. A rich person builds a business that earns money 24 hours a day, even while they sleep. They don't want to be the worker. They want to own the system that creates work. That's why business ownership and investments are at the core of wealth thinking. The wealthy also think differently about debt. While most people see debt as something evil, rich people understand there is bad debt and good debt. Bad debt buys things that lose value: credit card shopping, cars, luxury items. Good debt buys things that generate income, real estate, business equipment, or investments. They use other people's money to build wealth faster, while others use debt to live above their means. That's why the rich aren't afraid of loans, they're just strategic about how they use them. They make debt serve them, not trap them. Now, let's talk about taxes. Rich people don't complain about taxes, they study them. They understand the tax code rewards those who create value: business owners, investors, and innovators. While the average person works a 9-to-5 job and gets taxed before they even see their money, the rich structure their income through businesses and investments where they can deduct expenses, reinvest profits, and defer taxes. It's not about cheating the system, it's about understanding the system. Because money doesn't reward emotion, it rewards intelligence. Another major difference? Rich people talk about money openly. They share strategies, ideas, and partnerships. Meanwhile, most people avoid money conversations. They think it is rude or uncomfortable. But wealth grows where money is discussed intelligently. That's why the rich surround themselves with other rich thinkers. They know that your environment shapes your mindset. If you spend time around people who only talk about bills and problems, that's what you'll focus on. But if you surround yourself with people talking about business, growth, and opportunity, your mind expands automatically. That's why wealthy people pay for mentors, join masterminds, and network constantly. They're not just buying advice, they're buying new perspectives. Here's a truth most people never learn. Rich people don't chase money. They chase value. They focus on solving problems, building products, or offering services that help others. Money flows naturally to those who create value in the marketplace. If you want to make $1 million, help 1 million people solve a $1 problem. That's the mindset. The average person asks, how can I make more money? The rich ask, how can I create more value? And that one mental shift changes everything. Another reason rich people think differently is that they are obsessed with systems, not effort. Most people think, I need to work harder. Rich people think, I need to build a better system. They understand that human energy is limited, but systems can scale infinitely. That's why they automate, delegate, and document everything. Whether it is an investment portfolio, a real estate team, or an online business, they focus on creating repeatable, predictable results. Because systems do not get tired. Systems don't need motivation. Systems just work. Rich people also have an abundance mindset. They believe there's always more opportunity, more money, more success to go around. Most people operate with scarcity, thinking if someone else wins, they lose. But the rich know that money isn't a zero-sum game. The more value they create, the more wealth grows for everyone involved. That's why they collaborate instead of compete. They understand that wealth expands through connection, not isolation. And here's one of the most powerful beliefs the rich hold: money follows purpose. They don't just chase profit, they build around passion, meaning, and long-term vision. Because when you truly care about what you are building, you stay consistent. Consistency builds trust. Trust builds reputation. And reputation builds wealth. The poor look for quick wins. The rich play the long game. They'd rather build something that pays them for decades than something that pays them once. That's why true wealth is rarely flashy. It's quiet, focused, and built with purpose. The rich also use money to buy freedom, not things. While others use money to impress, the wealthy use money to express. They use it to buy back their time, choose where they live, work on what they love, and spend time with people who inspire them. Because real wealth isn't about luxury, it's about control over your life. The ability to say no. the power to walk away, the freedom to live on your own terms. That's the ultimate goal. Now, how can you start thinking like the rich? It starts with awareness. Every time you spend money, ask yourself, is this helping me grow or keeping me stuck? Every time you earn money, ask, how can I make this dollar work for me? And every time you face fear or uncertainty about money, remember it's not about what you have. It's about how you think. You can change your financial reality by changing the way you view money. It's not about luck, privilege, or being born rich. It's about mindset, habits, and discipline. Start small, build an emergency fund, invest consistently, learn a new skill, start a side business, or study how the wealthy make decisions. Over time, those small steps create big change. Because the gap between the rich and the poor isn't intelligence, it's mindset and action. And once your mind expands, your wallet eventually follows. Money will always flow to those who respect it, understand it, and use it wisely. So instead of asking, why are rich people so lucky? Ask, what are they doing differently and how can I apply that in my life? Because the truth is, wealth isn't something you chase. It's something you become ready for. When you think like the rich, act like the rich, and make decisions based on value, money naturally finds you. If you found this powerful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, wealth doesn't start in your wallet. It starts in your mind.